And thank you. Statement Saturday comes to West Lafayette, Indiana. You're watching college football presented by ExxonMobil. And the statement both teams want to make today, Purdue and Iowa, is we're okay. After taking one hard last week and knocking them out of the one-loss brigade in the Big Ten. So who's going to get off the mat? Hawkeyes, 6-1, feeling his oats, hopping up and down in the corner, and he gets whacked by the Nittany Lion. Falling last week to 6-2, second loss in the Big Ten. Purdue Pete, ready to go, primed, beat Ohio State, and then lost the belt. Sparty right cross, see you later. Both teams with 2 losses in the Big Ten, so the scorecard is not complete right now for these two teams. That's good news, especially for Purdue, which had just gotten hot after 3 opening losses. Northwestern is out of conference tonight against Notre Dame, as we know, but both of these two teams are trying to stay alive in the Big Ten West race. Jason Benetti, Kelly Stauffer, Olivia Decker along with you. The question is, who does get off the mat today and why?
It's going to be interesting. Sticking with that boxing theme, I was like that fighter that comes into the middle of the ring and says, this is who I am. Can you do anything about that? And under the second year with Jeff Brom at Purdue, they're still trying to find out who they are to some extent. A lot more kind of movement in the ring, if you will. This is going to be an interesting matchup.
Well, the cut men are important in this game today, especially on the Purdue side, as we found out later in the week. But for Iowa, some questions as well offensively. Here's Olivia.
Yeah, guys, we have 2 guys playing today who are fighting back from some light injuries. It was last week that Iowa quarterback Nate Stanley hit his thumb on his throwing hand on his center's helmet. Now, he finished the game, of course, but he didn't practice on Monday. He couldn't throw. Now, Kirk Ferentz just told me he's good to go today, but he is wearing a pretty significant tape job. It goes around the base of his thumb and then around his wrist. But perhaps the bigger injury for our game today is on the other offense by a guy who also wears number 4, and that's Purdue star receiver, the true freshman, Rondale Moore. He has the most catches in the Big Ten. And guys, he didn't practice this week until Thursday, and he went pretty light then. Now, usually he returns kicks, but that's not the plan today. Although Rondale told us yesterday he was 100%, his head coach wasn't so sure. Jeff Brom said usually guys don't do well who we've let play this way. I hope he proves us wrong. Well, we sure do too. He's been an absolute stud.
Well, you got to have him. He's got 40 more catches or so than anybody else on the team. Jeff Brom knows him well. He went to his high school in Louisville. The highest rated Purdue commit in a long time. Great leg strength as well. Squatting 600 pounds. You normally need 2 people to do that, and he's a wide receiver. And then against Northwestern on Jump Street this year, he was electric.
Yeah, Moore came out and certainly hitting the field early, and Jeff Brom has been scheming how to use this young man for a long while, and they move him all over the field. They target him. They make a lot of different designs and formations and motions and shifts, but the bottom line is this: how do we get number 4 of the football as early and as often as possible? And this is a new test for him because he hasn't practiced a whole lot, like Olivia was talking about. Jeff Brom doesn't like to go that way, but they'll see how this young man responds today.
Kickoff coming shortly. Here's what Jeff Brom said to his team in the locker room.
Remember this, as you're doing that, do the small things, okay? You've prepared, do the small things. Get lined up, know the call, be ready before the snap, and when the ball is snapped, it's all out, everything you got in between the whistles. You come back and you do it again, okay? Keep your poise, keep your toughness, play to win. But if you want to be a contender, you got to go win the game. Let's go.
Carrollton, Texas. Here's a young man who's no longer young anymore. He's 23 years old. He's already graduated. He is on his way to being married, a former University of Texas athlete, his future wife. And David Block can dance a little bit too. 2 NFL guys there. Danny Azuchukwu with Philadelphia. And the New England Patriots also with a defensive performer in that dance troupe now. First one to Isaac Zico from Blau across the 35. And the Boilermakers have their first down.
And Jason, early in this one, what will be important to keep an eye on is would have been wisdom coming from the quarterback, but that's not what we heard from the youngster.
Pocket holds up enough. He gets it to the tailback. And Knox is spun around by Riley Moss.
Defense a lot like Michigan State, so David Blau's going to have to solve that equation. A lot more zone out of Iowa than man-to-man here this afternoon.
Blau saw a lot of early pressure last week against Michigan State. Here he flares it out for Rondale Moore. Just enough for a first down. His first grab after back-to-back weeks with at least 10 catches.
Jeff Brom will move Rondale Moore around a ton. Intact who they are on that side of the ball.
He throws away from Moore this time. He's got the tailback. Knox to the 40-yard line. David Blau looks pretty good early. Hawkeyes with the stop as Iowa lost all of its linebackers from last year.
They haven't ran the ball yet, right?
No. They've got a tailback who catches the ball. That's all they have so far in the run game. Now it's Knox, and he leans just short of the line to gain as Matt Nelson in that veteran defensive line.
Sense.
Purdue this year is 16 of 17 on 3rd down and 1. David Blau to run for that first down, then on 17 of 18. And the Boilermakers move the sticks.
Typically, it's a shell game on the back end, and they have safeties over the top of those youngsters out on the edges.
9th play of the opening drive of this game. David Blau to throw for Zico. Touchdown, Purdue! He beat the freshman Blitz by a couple of steps. Allowed a touchdown on the opponent's opening possession all season long. But the yards per catch leader for the Boilers flipped that quickly. Zico to Pater.
And welcome back. And Purdue strikes early. At Jake Gervais, the safety, is going to jump the in route by Terry Wright and give up the post to Isaac Zico. There was really no reason for Gervais to do that. He exposed the...
There is no, and the Hawkeyes are a 2 to 3 tight end team. They've had tight ends here before, but Fant and Hawkinson are their top 2 receivers. Mark Cook in the Patriot days, 85 to 88. Then Dallas Clark, one of the greats of all time. Chandler, Moeaki, George Kittle, now currently in the NFL, and Hawkinson and Fant rely on a lot of those guys. TJ Hawkinson has a very nice relationship with Dallas Clark. He says that and Nate Stanley relies on both of them, who will split out as a wide receiver every once and again. This one goes to the far side, and Brandon Smith, the sophomore who makes the grab right.
Sargent is a slasher, kind of more athletic and a very good receiver, is number 10 out of the backfield.
Yeah, Mekhi Sargent burst onto the scene last week in that loss to Penn State. They love play action. Stanley gets it away. And he's got it across the 40-yard line to Nick easily on a first down grab for Iowa.
We'll have a fullback in front of him like Iowa does right now.
Across the 50-yard line, Ivory Kelly Martin and a first down as we take a look at our impact players, one of whom we've already heard from.
Yeah, Brandon Smith is the wide receiver that Brian Ferentz wants to target more in this game. We talked about the impact of the tight ends in that production, but they need a wide receiver to come through. And then Jacob Thieneman is important because you already talked about the play-action pass game is vicious for Iowa. And plays in the face of the double team, which is the really good players do. Number 9, Lorenzo Neal, right over top of the center, and Rinder, number 69.
Blitz shown from Jones. Stanley with a good pocket and a laser beam to the tight end, TJ Hawkinson, an Iowa born and raised kid, has a first down for the Hawkeyes.
That was a great field by Hawkinson. It's a stick route, and you have a vertical route outside, and so what Hawkinson does is, as he comes out of his break...
And he certainly has done that. As Mekhi Sargent checks in for his first carry. Sargent has the ball ripped, and he hangs on to it. Derek Barnes.
Which we've also seen early in this one.
There is play action. Stanley gets it away. Weeding, the third tight end, inside the 10-yard line for the Hawkeyes, first and goal. Kelly Martin, the tailback, second down and goal. Ivory Kelly Martin trying to break down the door, and he is stonewalled at the 2-yard line. 3rd down and goal for the Hawkeyes.
Game and play-action pass game.
Run again, 3rd down. Kelly Martin, touchdown, Iowa. So Purdue, a 9-play drive for a touchdown. Iowa gets in 12 plays. We're tied early.
ESPN College Football is presented by the unexpected energy of ExxonMobil. Energy lives here. And in part by Lexus. Experience amazing.
Well, Wheels Up brought Alex Bregman to game day today, but this being National Aviation History Month, we turn to the fleet here at Purdue, the only Big Ten institution offering undergrad and grad programs in aviation and transportation technology. Good to see.
Grant Herman's had surgery just yesterday, so his backup right tackle Eric Swingler is in.
Swingler, a smaller guy, and it nearly got put in Blau's lap, but he hits a strike to Hopkins, the tight end. Bryson Hopkins inside the 21st down. Blau hits it for 57.
Well, against the too-high look that Iowa likes to play, you have to put means catches for Hopkins.
Pressure coming. Blau gets rid of it. And he's got the tailback, Markel Jones, out of the backfield to make something out of it. 2nd down.
Talent, and now he's adding the knowledge of playing the position to that. He's going to be a terrific one before he leaves Iowa City.
Rondale Moore in the slot. Here he is on a jumping grab inside the 5. 1st and goal for Purdue. Looks like Blau's changing the play. Markel Jones trying to back his way in. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 1. Brady Reed with the stop.
Still has Wisconsin in the future as well, so a lot to be decided in the Western Division.
Jones took on the tackle and scores. And Markel Jones wants to become a pilot. David Blau at the controls to start the drive to Hopkins on a 57-yard catch and run. Markel Jones decides to put his nose in the end zone. Touchdown. Trent, the Purdue sophomore who's become such a bastion of hope for this Purdue team and millions across our country, getting a visit from David Blau and DJ Knox among others, and Tyler Trent. So great to see him here once again at Ross-Ade Stadium. He was ecstatic to be here a couple weeks ago when they beat Ohio State. And Tom Rinaldi, if you have not seen it, with just a tremendous feature piece on a young man who continues to fight and continues to be a source of hope and joy and understanding for others, for all of us. Kick popped up to the 20-yard line, and this return for Young.
Iowa, on the other hand, is all about his own run game.
Stanley was 4 for 5 on the opening drive. Flag has come in. We'll see if 3rd down still stands.
Offside. Defense, number 98. 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
It's on Kai Higgins. Two teams in the Big Ten championship game. Northwestern leading this division in the West right now. Again, Wildcats playing later against Notre Dame. Mekhi Sargent on this run.
It's going to be a good one, and Northwestern is going to have a chance to win it in the end.
One high safety. Iowa tries to attack it, and Smith-Marset got turned around by Antonio Blackman.
Where guys that do this for a living played and are trained. Interesting guy.
Blau scrambling across the 25, and a Purdue 1st down near the 30-yard line.
12.
That's either self-deprecation or accuracy.
I think both.
Blau to the sideline and incomplete. Riley Moss was blanketed on Sparks. 3rd down. The slot at the top of your screen. That's Rondale Moore. Lined up against the freshman Moss. Blau feels the pressure. Epinesa takes him down at the 30-yard line. Quarter number 2. Groeneweg back to receive. Boomer from Shopper. Groeneweg across the 35. And he's out of bounds just short of the 50-yard line.
You think they would do that without instructed to? And he said yes. What does that say about the support you've gotten from Purdue? We were talking about that. It's something the Big Ten has just adopted now. They have supported your story. What have you learned with all this outreach? What have you learned about people?
I mean, that at the end of the day, people are good, honestly. And
Important team to you.
yeah, no, it energizes me more than anything else in the world. You know, even just the other night watching the Purdue basketball game, I was getting really excited because, you know, basketball's right around the corner, and so hopefully Purdue has a good team this year. Properly explain it, but it's something that I will never forget. And you know, nothing against Make-A-Wish or the amazing things that Make-A-Wish does as an organization, but in my mind, that was almost better than a Make-A-Wish trip.
Third down for Iowa. Pressure. Stanley is high and incomplete. He wanted Nick Easley on the cross. Rastetter was out of the shotgun, then hunched down to take the long snap from Subert. Racinos on the way and good. 34 yards for Racinos as the drive bogged down. 14-10 Purdue in West Lafayette. A couple of months ago, he was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. He is back behind the mic after tremendous medical work. Rondale Moore out of bounds just short of the 20-yard line and talking to Robbie Hummel, Flisby, and just so awesome to see him and hear his voice here in West Lafayette once again as it's basketball season on the way. Jones a first down run, and the Boilermakers move the sticks. David Blau on first down. Quick hitter has got Terry Wright, who breaks the tackle and finds his way across the 30. First down, Boilermakers, everything offensively clicking as ESPN free trial by downloading the ESPN app or visiting ESPNplus.com. All the football you would ever want or need. Screen game again for Purdue, and Rondale Moore tripped up behind the line of scrimmage.
Early, I was starting to get after him just a little bit.
Quick release again. Isaac Zico, who had the opening touchdown, and Gervais and Hooker came together to make the stop. Again, Purdue dealing with a new left tackle, Eric Swingler, with Grant Hermans out for the year. They will run on third down, and the question is, where will the spot be? The far side official was leaning toward the 43. Iowa defensively has allowed just one fourth down conversion this year. Here is number 2. First down, Purdue. Pressure coming from Hooker, and they try to exploit it on the lateral, and it doesn't go much of anywhere. Terry Wright had the pitch. Out of Ankeny, Riley Moss, who made the tackle. Epinesa coming, and that forced Blau high on Moore.
Yeah, it's potentially a late hit, but it might be a late hit with targeting. Epinesa
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense number 94. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So it's Epinesa on roughing the passer, but it's not with targeting, which is obviously very important for Iowa. And this is why David Blau could not step into it, because the 6'7", 280-pounder was getting after the quarterback.
And they'll reverse it. Jackson Anthrop is hemmed in and doused short of the 40-yard line. Amani Hooker went in high.
Calling the plays.
Blau launches. Terry Wright. He got a touchdown! Oh, teardrop for the score!
The senior used a little bit of that experience on Moss, pressed into him and finished well on the football.
In front of the defense for a touchdown here, Kel.
Yeah, Terry Wright, the senior, on Riley Moss, the corner that's a true freshman. It's that push right at the very end. A little subtle push where the veteran gets away with it on.
Well, Reese was talking about it earlier about what happens if Kentucky is higher ranked than the basketball team in football when that Champions Classic rolls around, and that very well could be the case. The Wildcats, Big Blue, ranked in the top 10 in football and basketball last in the late 70s. Second down for Iowa. Stanley play action. He loads up. He looks around, and he's got a completion to the far side of the field. A first down for Ivory Kelly Martin. There's a flag in.
And this is going to be holding. Brandon Smith was trying to go deep. Official had to wait to see if indeed the ball was going to be thrown, and when it was, that becomes holding.
Defense, number 1. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
From the get-go. Might have to throw in a little decaf in his day.
Mix it in a little bit.
Mix in a little decaf.
Third down for Stanley. Pressure got there. He was wide, and it's incomplete for Nick Easley, who's been targeted a couple times and has yet to put it away. So first down Purdue after all that. Moore in motion. Moore to the outside, and Rondale Moore, who does invite contact, as the Buckeyes saw.
And so Iowa defensively needs to do something right here on 3rd and 8 and get after David Blau, who's actually felt pretty comfortable in this first half, I think, in that pocket.
He's had to leave the pocket just a couple of times. Purdue over its last 2 on 3rd down. Epinesa got there. He was flailing away, and that's likely a hold. And it's likely going to be the end of the line for this drive for Purdue. Groneweg back to receive. To the 25, late fair catch. He got it off legally, and the flag comes in. He did wave multiple times over his shoulder, Groneweg.
Contrary to the integrity of the rule.
Kick catching interference. Kicking team number 83. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down, Iowa.
Football to fair catching. I mean, that's his only option, and it makes you certainly less aggressive.
Torrin Young, the tailback, the bruiser of the group, to the sideline. Nice catch by Hawkinson, wheeling across the 40 for an Iowa first down. Best starting field position today for the Hawkeyes.
And Iowa is kind of getting a jump start that they didn't earn.
Young surges through the pile and finds his way to the 26-yard line.
In this first half, and maybe they can find it right here.
Multiple tight end look, they'll run out of it. And Young meets Lorenzo Neal, the big dude, absolutely squashes it. 3rd and 8. Stanley with a flag down, wants it all, and overthrows Smith-Marset. Some contact with Blackman, and we'll check the initial marker.
Coverage of Smith-Marset. We'll see the offsides by Purdue right on the edge, and they were going to get after Nate Stanley. And it was a corner route by Smith-Marset and down the field by Smith-Marset.
Kelly Martin in motion. Stanley on the wheel route. Ivory Kelly Martin, first and goal for Iowa. Mosley saved the touchdown.
But certainly, when you pound the football and you like to run it like Iowa, the play-action pass game is always on the table. Iowa has 2 timeouts left, so they can stop the clock by running it maybe a couple more times if they want to.
Stanley by his lonesome. Rapping on the door. Did he get in? Touchdown!
But mainly they stopped the penetration, but the clock
The ruling
was
on the field was a touchdown. That play is under further review.
Trying to see where the quarterback, Nate Stanley, was. It was clear down to 12 seconds.
So now they'll go to video review. The question is, do you have indisputable video evidence that the progress was stopped to overturn the call of touchdown on the field? You know what happens at the bottom of these piles.
The answer is no, because you can't even see the ball carrier in this situation. There is no video evidence.
Reminder, this is a family show, but what happens in those piles?
They grab stuff that is unthinkable, and they fight for the football theoretically, and nobody sees it.
Even on replays of HD cameras.
The replay booth right now has no idea where the quarterback is, where the football is, and who's grabbing what under that mass of humanity right there.
So you say touchdown and it stands. So my question to you is, do you kick the extra point or chase the points?
I think you kick the extra point. I think Kurt Ferentz is by the book, and I think he kicks the extra point.
The call on the field stands. Touchdown.
Stands because
please reset the game clock to 17 seconds. 1-7, please.
Nate Stanley's just happy he got out whole.
Now, you called Kirk Ferentz conservative there, but he was a gambler last week.
I did not use that word.
That was kind of the implication.
By the book.
Yeah, by the book.
By that book that they actually, do we kick it, do we not, do we go for two?
Significant credit for doing the job properly.
Very quick hand.
That is the end of the first half.
So great to enjoy the first half with you, Kelly Stauffer. Purdue scored on the opening drive, leads 21-17. Emmanuel Acho, Jim Mora, Zubin Mehenti coming up the halftime report after these messages. Iowa and Purdue have gotten together, and it's like friends who haven't seen each other for 20 years. You know exactly where to pick up where they left off, right?
Pretty much. I think that's a good analogy. And I think in this first half, Purdue is better at what they do well, which is throw the football, than Iowa at running it in play action pass. I think that was the difference in the game, but there's a lot to be settled here in the second half.
21-17 is your halftime score. You've got Purdue and Iowa, and the Hawkeyes end up pounding it in on that final drive of half number one.
Two penalties.
After the penalties.
Yeah. Momentum change big time, and they get the ball here to start the second half. So this first drive is going to be critical, I think, for Purdue defensively.
And the offsides penalty, they've had a couple of those. They had the kick-catch interference and then the personal foul. So cleaning it up is part of that, certainly here in the second half. So Iowa gets it. Smith-Marset takes it out. Great kick return team. Smith-Marset keeps his feet at the 35. And just short of the 40-yard line as we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. It's the quarterbacks doing what they do.
Yeah, JB, and we talked about this. David Blau was very sharp. 15 out of 20 and a couple of touchdowns, and didn't feel that pressure in that pocket. And so I think Purdue was better at what they do well, which is throwing the football, than Nate Stanley was. At the play-action pass game that comes off a run game, that's that zone run scheme. And Iowa was not real effective in that run game or pass game if it's not off the play-action pass game for Iowa. Yeah,
the deep shots weren't really there in terms of openness in that first half. Stanley play action, and he's under siege. Jacob Thieneman, the safety, with the sack.
Jacob Thieneman was coming to the backside of Nate Stanley off the play-action pass. Very difficult for a quarterback. You're turning away from the pressure, and then your play-action pass off.
Let him score because you're afraid that they're going to punch it back in on that next drive in the second half, but that certainly has not, at least for now, been the case. Torin Young on the draw to set up a little more room for Rastetter, the punter for Iowa.
Yeah, 3rd and 21 is draw or screen. There's no question about it, and Brian Ferentz knows that. That's who Iowa is.
In his checkdowns.
Has not looked rattled by the pressure. Blau launches. Deep ball again, Terry Wright for the touchdown. The second paratrooper, Blau's thrown to right.
This is a carbon copy of the one in the first half from Blau to right, matched up on Riley Moss, the freshman corner once again. They get single coverage outside because
He dropped another one in to Terry Wright. And you talked about his toughness, Kel. David Blau, we were asking him during our chat this week, if he wasn't a football player, what would he be? Rondale Moore, maybe not believing in that toughness so much, jumped in mid-question and said kicker. This changed the conference, didn't it?
without a doubt.
Stanley to Fant. Noah Fant, the tight end. Down the edge, the speed for the big guy. And he finally dances inside the 15 with Mosley. Just one catch before that.
And watch the blocking out on the edge by the wide receivers. Easily is one of them, and then Brandon Smith, and you have to block for such a long time for that play to get out there, and then Fan.
Sargent, the tailback here. Couple of tight ends. Purdue changing with the play. Stanley bails. Sargent with a block. Stanley whips it into coverage and incomplete for Smith-Marset. And a flag comes in late.
His hat on.
It's not warm enough to do that on your own volition.
Receiving team number 6. He went out on his own, was the first to touch the pass. The penalty is a loss of down, brings up 3rd down.
He didn't need to either. That was an incomplete
exactly
pass.
Right. But he didn't know he went out of bounds, so he's just trying to make a play on the football.
3rd down, 8. They can get a first down at the 2. Stanley to Sargent. And he's going to be about 2 yards short. So it's
Package of personnel that would assume they're going for it right here.
wow.
And the decision may be the fact that right now, Iowa doesn't have an answer for Purdue's passing game. So I think Kirk Ferentz just may see that it's going to take a lot of points to win this game.
Iowa, very good 4th down team this year. Play action for Stanley. To the end zone. Touchdown, Hawkinson. On 4th down, Kirk Ferentz strikes.
For Purdue, so Kirk Ferentz just may say, we need to get where the getting's good.
Stanley scanning. Stanley incomplete behind Smith.
The best at the same time that Iowa has ever had is Fant and Hawkinson.
Blau. That alarm started to go off as he drops it off over the middle for Knox. And down at all those guys who Hawkinson and Fant have been close with. Knox threading through off a spin into Gervais. And a first down for the Boilermakers.
He needs to stay a little bit higher and give help on the verticals outside and not leave Riley Moss, the true freshman, alone outside on the vertical routes.
Terry Wright has beaten him a couple of times. Blau steps out of the pressure, and Geno Stone meets him right at midfield. So
Blau did it for his team right there.
Purdue struggled recently on 3rd down in this game. Not this time. Knox a first down into the 3rd level and Gervais.
And called a great one right there to Knox.
Blau on the roll. Throw back. Mix up. Interception. Gervais with the pick. Wright stopped the route, and Iowa has a big interception. That's exactly, don't you think, what he was saying by hitting himself in the helmet?
No
Why
question.
do you throw that, David?
No question. Throw that ball away.
Now Stanley has to abort this play. He's inside the 5. At safety for Purdue on a 3rd down and long. Stanley dumps it off. Sargent tripped up. Marcus Bailey, the leading tackler for Purdue, the academic All-Big Ten player with the stop. Expecting a rather short kick from Rastetter. Moore with 3 Iowa players there. He beats them. Rondale Moore inside the 20. Him in the face.
I guarantee you that this punt was not supposed to go to Rondale Moore. Rastetter was moving to his left, the easy access throw, and then he's going to go essentially on a wheel route, but Iowa had it sniffed out.
Blau for Terry Wright against the freshman again, and Wright a yard short. Right
To 3, that's a huge win for them right now.
Purdue so good at 3rd and 1, and Jones a battering ram for a first down. Now, trying to march the Boilermakers in. Right in motion. Jones on the toss. Slices upfield and gets cut down a couple of yards shy.
Not be a bad idea to go with him.
Blau to the end zone. Terry Wright. Number 3 for Wright. End of today in West Lafayette here at Purdue to keep scoring.
Is that a thing?
It's going to be.
I think I could be that. I think I could be a whatever you said.
Yeah, the 101 class possibly. Smith-Marset back to receive.
Points in the first half. If you can hang till halftime, you have a shot.
Fant flows outside with Thieneman. It's a gain of 6. Gauge on where the Wildcats are.
Yeah, and I really think the Wildcats are kind of rounding into the team that you would expect. Thorson's kind of a gutsy quarterback that makes some plays both in the run and pass, and typically a good decision maker. And then defensively, Northwestern has to get after Ian Book.
Iowa 1 for its last 6 on 3rd down. Stanley drops it off. Beautiful hands from Easley. The crosser past the 40-yard line. First down, Hawkeyes today. We've seen 4 separate safeties. There's Fant in motion on first down. Play action. Didn't have Fant down the seam. Instead, he turns it loose to Gronaway for a first down for Iowa. Gain of 18.
Number 14, Gronaway.
Torrin Young for a short gain on first down. Nate Stanley. Plays like that are the reason that he's climbing up people's draft boards.
It's directly translatable to the NFL level, and trust me, NFL scouts love this young man.
Stanley to the sideline, and Amir Smith-Marset did get his foot in. He wanted to turn it upfield.
And Jason is a big quarterback.
Iowa down 2 scores. Nifty fake from Stanley. And he's got the tight end Hawkinson for another Iowa first down. Nice sleight of hand there.
Yeah, and the ball handling by Nate Stanley is another thing that the NFL people love, and you have to do that. Put the ball in, take one hand away. Where's the football now? I have, and at the next level, it's all about play-action passing game off of a run game.
Stretch play for Sargent to the short side, and he made something out of what could have been nothing.
You know, Jason, on the back end, this
9th play of the drive for Stanley. Sargent, who had a big game last week, is just short of the goal line. First and goal coming for Iowa.
Quarterback.
A 3rd try. Sargent, touchdown Iowa.
Iowa just elects to move it out of gap.
We knew you'd have the proof. Interception. David Blau picked off by Amani Hooker. 4-6. A flag is down at the 15-yard line. There's one also back at the 3. Will it stand for Amani Hooker?
During the return, holding defense number 11. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down, Iowa.
In the slot alongside Smith-Marset now. Stanley out of the backfield, and a beautiful thread through for Sargent. First down and goal, Iowa.
There is no foul for a horse collar tackle. The result of the play is a first down, Iowa.
Other sets of eyes on this play. It's about the location of the hand of Barnes when he drags it down, and I don't know, that to me looks like a textbook horse collar play.
Stanley to throw to the goal line, and did the ball ever cross? Easily did not get in. He was shouldered down by Blackman about a half-yard short.
This was a tremendous collision on the slant route. The inside receivers clear out and bring easily in that void.
Second down and goal. Sargent, who scored the last touchdown, is in again. Iowa leads for the first time.
Right.
Yep, you're downhill here.
Yep, exactly right.
Empty backfield, Stanley. Into traffic and incomplete for Smith. Now, before we went to break, Iowa took a timeout instead of delay a game. If you're trailing later in this game, you might want that timeout back, but you disagree. You think take the timeout. Oh, dandies everywhere on Statement Saturday in college football this week. This is a one-score game. Zico, who was big early, gets belted at the 25, right at the marker, by Julius Brents, the freshman.
And remember that game right now that is being played in this matchup. Those safeties too deep have come out of there too deep and jumped the underneath routes, leaving the outside exposed at times.
Knox for a couple yards.
Trips formation. I guarantee you Iowa knows where he is.
Zico cleared out. Blau looking that way, it wasn't there. Blau on the run, twisted around, tried to reach for it, and Anthony Nelson, who's second in the Big Ten in sacks. Thank you, Olivia, really appreciate it. I know the Dogs do as well. In Athens. Gain of 4, second down for Stanley. He dumps it off. Sargent in space. Breaks outside for a first down. You got a linebacker Bailey on him, and Sargent has the foot speed.
Boy.
Holding. Offense number 69. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
Changes your play calling.
You can throw the football, but Brian Ferentz needs to trust his quarterback to check it down if nothing is downfield.
Bailey coming. Forces Stanley up in the pocket. A flag comes in behind the play, and it may be another hold.
Jackson outside, number 77.
Holding. Offense number 10. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat second down.
You talk about Brian Ferentz being comfortable with Stanley making the right choice. How does Stanley remind himself of the check down being available in his check down's available. He goes to the next level and nearly picked off by Blackman, who did get a paw on it, defending Smith-Marset. He didn't last time and paid for it. Short punt. Down at midfield.
In the pass game, sometimes even in the run game, on those fly sweep type motions. We haven't seen that yet today.
Pro already for his training regimen, his knowledge of the playbook. This run is a gas run for Markel Jones. First down, Purdue. Clock on the move. So is Purdue. Jones to the fringe. Stepped on a one tackle and got out of bounds. Breaching the 30-yard line. Geno Stone bucked him out. Third down and short Purdue. Very good on third and short all year. Jones is stuffed. 1 for 1 on fourth down today.
Rondell Moore is the middle receiver in the trips to the top.
Precious time falling out of the hourglass. Blau on the run. Turns it upfield. And David Blau has a first down, Purdue.
Also leading the quarterback, Blau.
Knox. Flags everywhere.
This is going to be a holdout on the edge. It was a
Holding. Offense, number 89. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
Blau, pump fake. Blau unleashes. Zico incomplete. Flag comes in. Is it on Zico or Brents? He turned. Zico did
Pass
to initiate.
interference. Defense, number 20. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Even though I'm an offensive guy, the thing that always amazes me is theoretically, the defender has the same right to the football as the receiver does. On the shoulder, the freshman Brents gets called for the pass interference.
So Purdue with Knox down to the 6-yard line. Inside of a minute, both teams trying to stay alive in the Big Ten West. Right?
No question. Clock is ticking toward 40 seconds.
Iowa with 2 timeouts only. Off the spin, Knox dropped by Anthony Nelson. They hurt, let's see. On a run play for Knox, and he is absolutely drilled. Chauncey Golston just lit him up. This quarter ends. Another run play. Knox driven back. They're content to kick the field goal. And a timeout call.
The 6'8" guy brings inside 6'5", and Anthony Nelson on the other side is 6'7". And so you get a push and you get that length up in the air, and it's not a gimme by Spencer Evans right here.
This to stay alive in the Big Ten West. From 25 for Evans. For the lead, Evans, he got it! Fall asleep on this play. Smith-Barset is deep, but will it make it to it? It will, off a pitch. Ball is on the turf. Iowa picks it back up and tries to lateral it. That's a forward pass. This ball game is over.
Game's over.
Purdue wins 38-36. In 15 years, and their head coach Jeff Brown is with Olympia.
What a scene down here. My gosh, so cinematic. Coach, this is a must-win game for you all for a chance at the Big Ten West. When things got tight in the fourth quarter, what did you get from your team?
Well, we had to keep playing. I knew Iowa was a good football team. They'd make a run. Our defense hung in there. Our offense had a few turnovers that hurt us, but we came in there. We fought to the end, and luckily we came out with a win.
Second straight win for you over a tough Iowa team, and both have been close. Describe what this rivalry has become in this part.
Well, Iowa's a great football team, and Coach Ferenc does a great job. I know for us, we got to take these steps. We got to find ways to beat good football teams. The fact that we found a way to beat the third-ranked team this year was a big win for us. Our guys knew in order for us to contend and get better, we had to win this game. So proud of our guys for hanging in there fighting. Obviously, we got Tyler Trent on our side at home, and that definitely helps.
Now, he's up in the suite right now. He's cheering you on. We talked to him tonight, especially since he called the Ohio State win. What has he brought to your team?
Well, I think he just inspires all of us, especially our football team, but even everybody across the country. When you see his story, when you see what he's all about, for him to even be here again is an inspiration. I think our guys just come out, we play hard, we play the Purdue Boilermaker way, which is giving everything we got. So we're very proud of our team.
Thanks, Coach. Go celebrate with your team.
Thank you very much.
Fans everywhere, and a shining star up in the suite level here at Ross-Ade Stadium. is Purdue Boilermakers at 4-2 in the league. They are at Minnesota next week. Then a big game against Wisconsin. Indiana remains as well. Northwestern plays at Iowa. The Hawkeyes looking for some revenge. What a game, Kelly Stauffer.
Yeah, and we were in here last year against Minnesota when Purdue won, and we talked about the need to learn how to win. And to beat 3 ranked opponents this year and to win a game like this against an Iowa team that is always in it to the end, I think Jeff Brom is teaching that lesson quite well.
Purdue, the winner here, a game ahead of Iowa. Miami-Duke is coming up, but first we'll go back to the studio and Zubin Mehenti. Zubin.